Welcome to the podcast.
Hey.
Hey!
Let's get familiar with everyone's voices. We got me, Psychos, we got Bear,
Mm-hmm.
and Connor.
Hey.
Now you meet the crew.
So what's
So,
going on? What are we doing?
you want to
What are we
get right
talking
into
about?
topics or just talk for a little while?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Whatever you guys are feeling like doing.
Well, Bear's, how's the models going?
Waffenfarbe is done.
That word.
I hate
That
that
word
word.
hurts me. Waffenfarbe.
I
Every
genuinely
time
hate that
you're
word.
you're gonna ask me about models, I'll just tell you the Waffenfarbe is done.
Yeah, that's a smooth way of saying we don't want to hear that anymore.
No,
No
but
more.
the uniforms are going pretty well.
Alright, well, good to hear.
How are the allies going? You got the good the US, the British coming along pretty well. I'm tired of hearing about the Krauts.
Me
Uh,
too, honestly.
the U.S. are, sadly, Connor, as bland as a freaking cardboard box, and
Excellent.
I
Just
guess
how I
technically
like
they are
them.
done. So that's why I'm working on the Germans, is because the Germans are retarded and decided, hey, let's have each and every soldier have the choice of 5 different uniforms, of 5 different colors, of 5 different colored ranks. Waffenfarbe.
Hell yeah.
Enough. You said that word again. We're done here.
End of stream. Alright,
Alright, see you next year.
let's get into our little topics here. So we're going to start with some games here. First topic, we're going to be talking about Far Cry 5. Anyone got some opinions on this?
I love it.
Have
I
either...
want it.
I've seen a lot of videos, but I haven't played it myself. I do want the game, though.
Yeah, I
Pretty
have a
badly.
toaster. I can't play it.
Uh,
Someone was talking to me about that the other day. Actually, they're like, "Oh, Far Cry 5 is a pretty cool game. Are you gonna get it?" Told them, no, because I have a potato. Why would I play it on a potato?
should have been like.
No, you
when
don't
are you
even
gonna
have
give
the
me a new
validity to
computer?
call your computer a potato, dude. Your
I
computer's not
know.
good enough to be a potato.
If it was a potato, I'd have chopped it up, made me some French fries.
Steak fries are better.
These are so cringe. Alright,
I gotta
so.
savor the flavor.
Far Cry 5!
Oh wait.
Far Cry
Real quick.
perfect
Theoretically,
potato.
if your computer was a potato, what kind of potato would it be?
Sweet potato.
You. All right. Fuck you. That's insulting. All right,
You
Far
ever
Cry
had
5.
sweet potato fries?
I have, and I didn't like it. I don't like sweet potatoes at all.
Okay. I get it. You prefer the good old classic brown spud.
Idaho or russet.
This is where
Idaho's
it
better.
goes just. Are we talking about Far Cry or are we talking about potatoes?
Motherfucker, we're talking about potatoes. Don't interrupt.
God damn it. Talking about potatoes to an Irishman. It's a bad mix.
Well, Bear's not Irish. He's a commie.
But I am.
I'm Irish.
Oh, wait, are Irish
but-
commies?
No.
Can we confirm
they're
this?
not.
They kind of were during the Troubles.
Well, I mean, not well. They wanted their own thing during the Troubles. It's
Yeah,
not okay. Listen, we'll make Irish republicanism a topic for another day.
All right.
The IRA, were they
we
right?
got rid of the political topics, but we're still talking about it. All right. Far Cry 5. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this game?
Alright, well,
I mean-
sadly, we're gonna wind up getting into political talk again about Far Cry 5 anyways. So,
Yeah, pretty much.
who wants to start?
I mean, I haven't played the game myself once again. I've seen a lot of videos on it. I think the game looks fun, but I've heard pretty much through almost every video I've watched on it that the fundamentals of the game are broken. There's like no peace at all. There's pretty much always a constant event happening. I have heard from other people that co-op is really fun though, and that playing with another player is one of the more fun things to do in the game. But other than that, I think the game is kind of like Far Cry Primal, but a little bit more modern, which is a kind of nice feel.
Kind of sounds like Far Cry 4. How there was never any peace. I mean, the only time I ever found peace in that game is if I got lost in some like obscure part of the map. Other than that, I either get shelled, shot, or bit by some random animal. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I don't get me wrong. What I've been hearing about this game sounds hilarious, especially about all the shovel shit you could do. Like, get a perk where you could carry multiple shovels, and then you just sling them, throw them like across across an outpost. I mean, come on,
You
you could
can
clear an
throw
entire
shovels.
outpost with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can throw shovels and you kill people with shovels. It's pretty
you
great.
could kill people with a freaking like a boat paddle. Throw it at people. I love it. It's great. I mean, it's a goofy game. It plays it through a lot of different aspects. It's not just stealth now. It's like stealth with a little bit of humor thrown in there.
And cheeseburger.
Yeah, and good old fashioned Americana.
Cheeseburger the bear.
I like the storyline that the game has with this like cult up in I think it's Montana. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's
called like
Montana.
Hope Montana or something. I like it
At least
because it
it was
plays.
Montana,
I think yeah, it's
because
definitely in the States. That's for sure.
Wyoming doesn't exist.
Well, it plays. I kind of think it plays a lot into a lot of different past issues that this country's had with the cults, especially thinking about the Waco, Texas shooting with the Branch Davidians against the ATF, and also the Ruby Ridge shootout that happened in the mountains against the ATF, but and FBI, and that that kind of ties a lot into what goes on in the Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 5 universe there with this cult taking over like an entire town. At least it's not something crazy like you go on to some random ass island as a tourist and then wind up killing literally everybody on the island by the end of the game. I mean that was a little far fetched, I thought.
Well, I've never played any of the Far Cry, or not any of the Far Cry's. I mean, Far Cry, the new ones. Far Cry 3 was the only one I stopped at. I didn't want to buy Far Cry 4. I definitely didn't really want to buy Far Cry 5. It looks like a good game. Far Cry 2 was really the only game that I liked. The other three kind of, yeah, they were a little weird. They were good games, but they were a little weird for me.
2 was Africa, right?
2 was Africa.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
realistic kind of Africa. It wasn't like story wise, it would probably be pretty bland.
It
But
was like going to like Sierra Leone or something during all those civil wars, I
yeah.
think, right? Yeah.
hmm It's very generic story, but in its own way, it was very fun, and I liked it how its mechanics played out with the jamming and all that stuff like that. You had to be very careful with what you do in that game, especially when you start fires.
I mean, I loved Far Cry 3, Far Cry favorite, just because, same old Far Cry story plot they've always had. Some crazy dude in the middle of fucking nowhere, basically just go kill him. He probably stole
Yeah.
someone, he's just a bad dude, just go fuck him up, somehow, figure a way. And then you go through, like, and kill a whole bunch of other people unnecessarily to kill one random dude. But Far Cry 3 seemed the most interactive to me, because you actually saw the fucking crazy dude multiple times in the series before you actually got the chance to kill him. On
And you're
top of
typically
that,
not somebody who should be killing people either. You're like a tourist half the time.
you had those crazy fucking missions that were always really fun and added a lot of flavor to the game. Like the one mission where you had to take shrooms and you had to go find shrooms in some cave and then you started tripping the fuck out.
Oh yeah.
That was honestly one of the better moments of playing that game.
Or you took the flamethrower and you torched like the weed
The weed
fields.
farm and start, like, the music starts playing.
Skrillex or something's playing.
Skrillex and someone else was in that song too, I forgot.
Damian Marley, I think
Yeah,
it was.
that's who it was.
Yeah. It was probably one of the best missions of all time right there. But that was a great game. I'm not gonna lie, I've always thought the Far Cry games were good. Some of them get a little crazy with like, alright, I killed somebody. We don't need to take it a step farther. Like, I'm talking about like Far Cry 3. It's like, all right, you kill whatever his name was, Voss or whatever. All right, now I gotta take it a step farther and kill like an entire paramilitary group. Like, I don't think that was really a necessity of the game.
No.
Or 4 even. I don't even get 4. You were going to like spread your mom's ashes or something, and then somehow you get tied into this friggin' civil war that's going on. And it's just
What?
like, all right. Come on. Like, apparently your mom was like the queen or the princess of this friggin' country up in the mountains. I think it's the Himalayas. You're just like, why? Why, man? Just throw the goddamn ashes out the side of the bus window and go home. Like Jesus. I don't know. It was a fun game though. Killing stuff, hiding, burning stuff, the flame arrows, everything was great. I don't
The
know. I'd give Far Cry 5 a
MG42.
try without a problem. Yeah, MG42. That was excellent. The mortars, the helicopter missions, the Dishka on the back of the truck. This game. Listen, I would definitely give Far Cry 5 a best try. I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10 just because I like the look of it, especially with the fighter plane too. That looked cool.
I don't know.
Aircraft physics to it.
I want another Far Cry game with like the Far Cry 3 type feeling to it, because honestly Far Cry 4 was just a little bit far-fetched with not really that many good memories in my opinion. The only really memorable thing in my head that I can really think of, like off the top of my head when I think of Far Cry 4, is when you try to kill a fucking Yeti or driving around on a goddamn elephant.
Oh, the friggin' Eddie or the Yeti Eddie. Yeah, those missions when they added those Yeti missions. That was weird. I don't know. Get where they were coming from. I think that was like during the time where all the games are adding zombies and survival kind of uh like little survival campaigns. They were just like, well, we could tie that into our game too. But it was weird. You weren't even killing Yetis half the time. Half the time you were killing regular people, and then a Yeti would show up and you gotta kill it. Wow,
And then
okay,
fucking
cool.
wolves would come out of nowhere too.
Well, like, great. Wow, nice, thanks. I don't know, they tried. But still, I'd give it a thumbs up.
I don't know. I'd definitely give it a thumbs up. It looks like a good game, but there's still which obviously can be sorted out. There's nothing that they can't fix.
I think it looks decent. I would pass, me personally. The Far Cry games aren't my kind of game.
Alright, so that's
Uh,
two thumbs up and
That's one
a
game.
thumb up. Okay.
Well, we'll go on the next game then. Sea of Thieves. Have any of you guys seen this game?
Yeah.
Not really too much on it. I do remember seeing it, I think, at E3. And it looked interesting, but I don't know. It wasn't really my kind of game. My friends all want me to get it. I'm like, I don't know. All good.
Yeah. I was the same on that one. But I've heard about it recently. Ooh.
Ooh. Just kind of looks kind of cartoony to me, to be honest.
That's kind of the style to it, though. That's what I like about it.
Well, I
It's got that
guess.
style.
But still, I mean, like, I know Blackwake came out, and Blackwake kind of seems, or is in the process of coming out. And that looks cool. I like that idea. It's not very cartoony. It's got a long way to go, but I feel like it has more potential in a way than Sea of Thieves. Like, I think Sea of Thieves will last a year or so, and then people will be like, all right, what else is new? We'll go back to Fortnite now. That's big for some reason.
I feel like Sea of Thieves already lost a lot of its hype with all the big major streamers already stopped streaming it and moving on to other games, as they tend to pretty quickly, unless it's like PUBG or Fortnite, which are both, in my opinion, horrible, basic, boring games like Call of Duty, just with a slightly different scenario type going. I don't know, but I think Sea of Thieves is it's a decent game. I haven't played it myself. I've tried to get access to it, but I know people who have played it and they've had positive opinions on it. But it's one of those games that you play a couple times and then it has no real replay value.
It's lackluster.
Yeah, you play it. It's like a fire and forget game. I get it. One and done.
It seems like a good game, but there's a lot of like fundamentals that are in the game that are kind of lacking. I just feel like there could be a lot more to the game than just, sitting on as a crewman on a pirate ship going to kill other pirates. There could definitely be some other things to it. Like I think the chest idea they have is going well. Like you get chests and you get loot from that or something like that. I don't know how it works exactly, but I know there is like a chest system and you have to die for them. That's a pretty fun thing. It forces you to get off your ship and actually do something instead of just hovering around. But I feel like there could be more to the game.
Yeah, probably.
Like, honestly, customizable ships, I don't know if that's a thing or not, but if that were a thing, and you could put your custom cannons on it or something like that, or your own custom textures on it, on like the flags and stuff. That'd be kind of cool.
But you know what? None of that matters, though. None of that matters. It's about the water. Water.
Ow.
Now, what about the
But
water?
the water is pretty darn good looking. That's like some of the best water no, I've seen better water, but it's pretty good water. If it's what I think it is, it's pretty big. But if it's not, then it's pretty lame, but still works.
Well, if we're going on water, then I've honestly seen some Minecraft animations and Minecraft shader packs that have better water than a lot of games. So
Okay.
Well, I mean, it depends on what it is. If it's simulated, if it's dynamic simulated water, that's bigger than most water based engine stuff for games. Like that's stuff that's really hard to do. Like the only thing that I know that does water simulation type stuff is from Unreal Engine 4, and it's pretty weird. It kind of looks like it's kind of slimy.
that, and it's hard to do as well.
Texture. Yeah, it's very hard to do. But the problem is getting water simulation in real time. Baked simulations are really good, but real time is really bad at the moment. If it's real time simulation based physical water, really good, spot on stuff. But if it's not, you could definitely you can say that there has been better.
Well, I think in most scenarios, there's always going to be a better. There's always going to be one up. Like even from what I've seen, I'm sure there's better things out there that I've never seen before. And I'm sure there is for you too. I'm sure there's like a better engine entirely that neither of us know about that's a lot better than Unreal Engine in water simulations.
It probably there's probably some engines that are based solely on adding that kind of stuff, but I feel like they're the kind of people who are like Bohemia Interactive who are holding the VBS Blue. So they're like, you want this really nice engine that's for your game that can run the finest water simulations? All right, fork over the 2 million. But aside from that, I've heard things about Sea of Thieves. I wouldn't get it, me personally, since I've heard about it, so much about how you'll play it for a couple hours and be like, yeah, this is really cool, and then after that, it's not so cool.
What about you,
Yeah.
Connor? You'd buy it?
Something. Well, I don't know. No, probably not. To be honest, I mean, it's. I don't know. Like I said, my friends wanted me to buy it. And they're all like, yeah, we'll do this all together and that, and they'll get it on the console. I'm not really a console person. And I know this will be a big hit on the console. Just like Fortnite was, I believe, was a pretty giant hit on the console mainly. And I don't know, every time I go from PC to console to play with my friends, it's just like, I don't like it. It's just garbage to me. I don't know. I feel like the controls are always sluggish, everything's very slow. I can't get maneuverability as much as I can with a keyboard and mouse. Yeah, I feel like those are all kind of things you need when especially if you're doing like ship-to-ship combat. You need that kind of maneuverability that you're going to be missing on the controller. And I don't know. I could be wrong. That's just my way of looking at it. So no, probably not gonna get it. If I do, it'll be when it's on a low sale. Because there's always something better that'll come out after it.
There hasn't been anything yet.
There'll be something. Someone will have an idea. I mean, it didn't take long for Fortnite. I'm gonna keep bringing up Fortnite because they got the same cartoony look to me. For Fortnite to come out after PUBG came out, it wasn't long.
And then
So
PUBG after H1Z1 and H1Z1 after Arma 3 Battle Royale.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's because of
So
the trend, though. The trend is usually what brings that around. If Sea of Thieves loses the trend, like nobody wants to do pirate stuff anymore, then it'll probably never come back.
well,
A
here's
good
the thing. I feel like pirate stuff started, the big stuff started, and I could be wrong again, but I think this is when it started, was with Assassin's Creed, Black Flag. Everyone was like, oh my god, ships. I could go on a ship. I could collect songs. I could get my guys to sing. I could go out. I could blow up shit, and I could upgrade my ship to look better. until I have the baddest goddamn pirate ship on the sea. And then from there you got Black Wake, I think. There might have been something in between there, I'm not sure. And now I'm seeing Sea of Thieves. It's just too prolonged. It's just too far apart from each other. And it's just dying out, I think. Sea of Thieves will come out, it'll be fun for a bit, and that'll be it. Go back to something else. Battlefield will come out, Call of Duty will come out, something new will come out like that, and they'll draw all the players away. That's what I see happening. So no. To answer your question, no, I probably won't buy it.
The only way I would buy it is if it were on sale, but other than that, I wouldn't buy it at full price. It doesn't seem like one of those games that I'd spend full money for. It doesn't have the replayability of the game. There's definitely not a whole lot to the game, but I see their ability to expand onto other things, like other game modes and stuff. That would be kind of fun as well, if they were to do that, which, in my opinion, would be probably one of the better ideas. Because that's what saved games like H1Z1 and Fortnite, is because they had those survival modes, and those survival modes were honestly pretty atrocious. H1Z1, like, basically overspoke. They were like, oh, we're gonna have the most realistic zombie simulator ever. And then when it came out, it was fucking horrible. So they were like, okay, well, we have this engine, we have this game, we have all the models, we have all the textures. Let's not just put this to waste. Let's make a whole new game mode. And that blew the fuck up. And then Fortnite did the same thing. It had the same little survival mode. It was boring, it was just kind of dead, but the game mode pretty much brought the game back to life. Just in a different format entirely. PUBG was built around Battle Royale, though. It's from Arma 3.
Yeah. No, yeah. And
But
it's so funny because I never really knew that until yeah, I remember a video from Devil Dog Gamer actually playing the original Battle Royale, and I was just like, yeah,
Ring
that's
ring.
pretty cool. That was a while ago
You better catch your phone, it's running.
though. Yeah, man. That is one of them do not answers.
One of them government boys trying to get your...
Actually, yeah, pretty much. Something community, something. Oh boy. Here
Alright,
comes
well,
the message.
we'll go on to the next game. Alright. Do you think the game has succeeded by any chance? I mean, honestly, I personally think that, like, I don't like the game. I don't like the idea of the game. It's just like kind of like Skyrim, but supposed to be more realistic, I suppose.
Wait, which game?
Kingdom Come Deliverance.
There you go.
Yeah, you.
All right, well
Okay.
then my bad. But
Awesome.
do you think the game succeeded or not? I genuinely, I don't think so. I think the game is like a bad. I think it's just a bad game. It's a bad idea. The idea of it is basically just a trend that's already died out a while ago, in my opinion. I don't like the basis of the game. I think that the game would have been fun, but I think, honestly, just the development team and didn't pull through well enough for it to actually be a decent game, in my opinion. So,
Did this game have full-on multiplayer?
I do not think so.
Okay, see, now what I've seen from it, I feel like this would have been the kind of a role-playing game that would have had excellent potential as a multiplayer game, like 100%. I mean, it had everything. This was almost like Skyrim, and even Fallout 4 has the mechanic for it, but the multiplayer aspect would have been amazing here. Honestly, that's where they lost everything. Not implementing that. I mean, you
Yeah,
could
it's
be
single player
anything in this game. You could do, as far as I know, you could be anything. It wasn't just be a soldier. You could do whatever you wanted, and it was very open. It just looked like, I don't know, they missed out entirely with it. I don't know. They tried to make it something that it wouldn't have worked in. Kind of like Skyrim, like you said. They were trying to go for that with more a I'm jumbling up my words
Like
a
a
lot here, but I
realistic
know,
open
like,
field.
yeah, a realistic version of Skyrim. Exactly. That's basically what they're going with. Take out the magic, take out the fictional, I don't know,
Dragoon.
everything. take out dragons and fake races and whatnot, and then you got Kingdom of Deliverance, really. But yeah, I mean, if they just made it a multiplayer game, they might have had potential at a long-lasting fan base, especially with all the multiplayer or the all the YouTubers. Probably would have went crazy on this game.
Yeah. Um, Me personally, I didn't really think of Kingdom Come Deliverance being really all that big of a game. I mean, like you said, Connor, if it was multiplayer, it would be pretty cool. I was thinking that this game was going to be, because at first I thought it was going to be multiplayer, and I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be sweet medieval game. It looks good. It seems to play good, and it's going to be multiplayer. You got people, doing their own thing. You got knights, you got archers, you got maybe bards or whatever doing their own little thing in this huge interactive world. It would have been great. But then now hearing about it that it's that it was a single player game only, kind of seems to bum me out a bit. Kind of waste of opportunity there. Um, but honestly, I didn't think it was. When looking at it, I didn't think it was much of a Skyrim more than it was kind of Mountain Blade, in my opinion, at least
Hmm.
combat wise. But I haven't really looked much into it. I don't know the story or what it's trying to be or what it's doing. So that's just my thoughts on it.
That was pretty easy.
Well, another question, or at least a common thing that people have realized is that this game is really buggy. There's a lot of bugs in this game, and there's a lot of broken mechanics as well. Do you think that the bugs in the game has broken the game?
Um, bugs are pretty crucial thing you got to watch out for. It depends on the bugs. I haven't really heard much of anything about bugs and stuff like that, but it depends on the bugs. If it's game breaking bugs, of course it's gonna ruin the game. And if the developers aren't taking the situation very seriously, it's going to damage the game quite a bit. So I don't really know much about the bug issues. I would have to look into that kind of stuff, and I don't think we'd have the time for doing that. So I'm gonna say, you know, go with whatever that the everyone else is going with on the argument.
I think that there are a lot of bugs in the game, but I don't think it's necessarily broken the game. Not in the same, at least not in the same, like, what would you say? Not in the same scale as Mass Effect Andromeda did.
Oh yeah, that was a train wreck.
But I do believe that the game does have a lot of bugs. I think that it honestly ruins a piece of the game, the realism of the game, the complete immersion of the game. But I don't think it completely breaks it because there are times when you're just going through and then just random bug. Usually it's not even game breaking, it's just a small minor bug that makes you giggle and then you keep going on and it plays normally after
Yeah,
that.
see, with bugs like that, I wouldn't say that, they're terrible. If anything, actually, some of those bugs would be, kind of welcomed. The really funny ones that make you chuckle. Kind of like Stalker. Stalker is a prime example of bugs like that. Um, but you know, it's whatever. As long as they patch some of the serious stuff, with the like the day one patches is what they call them, should be fine.
What about you, Connor?
I think bugs are funny, especially when it
Bugs are
comes
funny.
to a single player game where it's just you. I mean, like again, if this was a multiplayer game, I feel like it would just be a broken game. It would be horrible. But that's where some of the funnier YouTubers get a lot of their content is finding these bugs, breaking their game, and then getting a laugh out of it. There's some funny things. The only one I can really remember is a guard did like the thunder kick on somebody. All I know is he like kicked him and he went flying into a wall, and it was hilarious because he went through it after that. Hit it, made a little pound, and then went through the wall, and it was great. It was amazing, hilarious. It got a couple of views, I think, on Instagram, a couple of laughs on YouTube, but that's really all I remember. Uh, aside from that, haven't really heard much about anything bug related, but Yeah, like Bear was saying, they're kind of bugs are kind of an essential thing because then you know what you gotta fix and what you gotta work on, especially if you care about your game. You
Mhm.
know, if you find a bug, then you fix that bug. Of course, you get a new bug because you fixed something. There's always something else that has to get fixed, but that's a good way of letting seeing the community giving feedback to the devs, and the devs will actually respond and fix it. Then you know that the game is cared for. And I can think of a lot of games that have a lot of bugs that the devs just don't give a shit about, and you spend a lot of money on, and they're not gonna fix them.
Yeah, it's kind of like it kind of reminds me of the game Reign of Kings, which is kind of a similar concept actually, almost
Yeah,
the
I
same
remember
kind of
that.
concept.
That
Yeah.
died out just as quick.
Yeah, it was a cool game at first, but then the developers really ignored a lot of the game-breaking issues, and then they just quit.
Mm,
They got
too
their
bad.
money. They got their money out of the game and the concept. The concept's great. I mean, I had so much fun playing the game, trying to because one of the very few things I did with a friend was trying to go into a kingdom and do a communist overthrow on the on the kings. It always ended up us getting captured and then having us be beheaded. So it was
Oh, so
always
it worked out
interesting.
well, I see.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. Unfortunately, the opposition just had a lot more support because they were bribed a lot. And I only offered bread to people.
What
Well,
a
that's
great
that's
idea.
essential for communism right there.
I
I
offered
mean, the lack of
peace,
bread is
land, and
essential
bread.
for communism.
Ah, yeah, that's true. You got me there.
Well, let's see. Is this a game that you guys would buy? Do you think? Not even a
Um,
question about it for Con.
Just not my genre.
I would say it's not my genre either. It's a cool game. It's a cool little concept for a game and stuff like that. But I honestly I would much rather have a multiplayer version of this game than a single player. Um, and if I wanted a single player type game, I would much rather go with Skyrim. I feel like there's just a lot more to Skyrim than there is to Kingdom Come.
Hmm. Plus, there's mods.
Oh yeah, and
You
mods.
already have the mods, so I mean, it's almost no question about it.
Yeah.
All right,
All right,
I think that
let's
sums that up.
we'll go on to the next game, which is God of War 4.
This, even looking it up, I still can't really tell you what it's about. So,
Bear, have you ever played any God of War games?
I have not. I've always watched the commercials for those games from I think from the first one up into the third, from what I remember. I've always wanted to play those games, but they're always PlayStation exclusive, so I never got a chance to play them. Didn't have a PlayStation for that uh, game and stuff like that, or for any of the games. But I am very well aware of the games. I don't know them all too well, um, but I know where they're going with it.
Well, I'll just give a quick rundown. Basically, the game is you're basically playing as this one character. I forget his name, Kratos, I think it was.
God, the God of War.
Yeah, and you have in the original games 1 through 3, I believe, all of them. You basically are fighting Greek mythological gods in the entire game, killing them, taking over, so forth, so forth. And you play through a whole bunch of different things. It's like a whole bunch of different playstyles. You learn moves as you continue on. You get different weapons, I believe. I don't actually think you do, but I could be wrong. Other than
Are they
that,
are they Greek or Nordic?
Greek. God of War 4 is a completely different game. It
Oh,
changes the setting from Greek mythology to Nordic, which is something I'm honestly looking forward to. Playing God of War 3 and God of War 2. Never playing God of War 1 though. I did play 2 and 3, and I had a lot of fun playing it, and it was one of the more memorable games of my childhood. It was a really fun but really difficult game. Uh, it also helped me learn a little bit about Greek mythology as well, which kind of helped me in school at the time, oddly enough. But I think the Nordic setting is going to be a little bit of a fresh breather from the other ones, and it's gonna be something new. Honestly, I don't know anything about Nordic gods whatsoever, or Nordic
Yeah,
mythology in the slightest. But from what I've seen so far, it looks really cool, and the graphics even look beautiful as hell.
I agree. I think looking at the trailer that I totally had to go and look up for, it looks like a really good game, and it's one of those. I feel like it's going to be one of those kind of games like what is it, the Witcher series, where it kind of educates you in another culture's mythology, because the Nordic mythology isn't really explored a lot in games, and same with the Polish mythology in the Witcher series, and that really educates a lot of people on their culture. I can't wait to see this game. I probably won't ever get to play it, but I definitely want to look more into it. It looks like a very interesting game and a very fresh look at the God of War series.
I'm really enjoying the fact that video games like these are tying into actual historical and mythological backgrounds and teaching them. They're not just using them for the game. They like you said, they are kind of teaching the generations about this mythology through the fun of both killing it and learning about it. And that's important. I think I'm a very avid believer that you can learn a lot more through watching and
Killing.
enjoying than sitting in a class. Yeah, right. Than sitting in a classroom and hearing a teacher say, this happened here and they believe in this. And yeah, it's very important to me, especially for the younger people who are trying to get into learning history. Playing like Assassin's Creed and going around in all these different locations and hearing the you're running into all these historical figures and you're talking with them. I mean, you learn about them. Then you go into what you got your 10-year-old here learning about George Washington. He's got to go to class, take a history test on American history, and he's like, "Oh, I know who George Washington is. Yeah."
There's that one crazy dude who was basically running America for 8 years and then just goes, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go home. Which is almost literally pretty much what happened.
Yeah, yeah. I like where it's going. I like where all these games are going.
I think it's a fresh in look historically for people who are basically tech savvy gamers. For them to get into a new genre of something. I'm saying a lot because I'm thinking. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm really self conscious. Fucking Christ. Okay. It's one of the
Don't
main
worry
reasons
about
I hate COD World War II is because its lack of realism and its lack of historical. When you play the campaign, it makes it feel like World War II is some type of fun, easy war to go through. That shit was gruesome and painful. It was probably a little bit more painful than World War One. Not in the sense that World War One was slower. It was a lot more, disease filled, a lot harsher. But World War Two was a lot more mental. A bunch of dudes screaming at you, running at you, shells landing all around you, flames going everywhere, massive fucking rotating machines coming at you at fucking god speed. Shit must have been terrifying, but they don't portray that correctly in COD World War II. They make it seem like more like easy, like,
it's a
oh,
very
tank, let me just whip out this
American
random fucking
game.
Panzerschreck I just found out of nowhere and just rape that tiger.
Yeah, I mean it's a very American hero type game. You're always the hero. Uh, and they tie on that a lot. You know, you they also, I mean, everybody's pretty much played Call of Duty or seen it now. They have these heroic like little, I guess, mini games. You run out there, you grab some fallen bro, and you drag him behind a little like concrete wall because he was shot. Literally 4 seconds after you put him behind the wall, he says, "Thanks a lot, pal," and he gets up and keeps shooting. Like, okay, listen. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun game. I played it. I bought it, so I had to play it. But I mean, it's very American hero, American like World War II movie set in like the 70s era of movie making. Oh well, there's the Americans. We won the war, so we're gonna be the heroes regardless, and we're the good guys, and we're always gonna be the good guys, and you know we're gonna kick all the Germans' asses. Hell yeah! That's exactly how it played out in the game itself.
Yeah. So speaking of which, of Call of Duty World War II, I think my biggest problem, and I was agreeing with the YouTuber I was watching a couple of days ago about what made World at War so great, and it was looking at it. World War II, Call of Duty World War II was just it was so inoffensive. It tried its hardest to portray World War II, but in almost like an inoffensive way. Whereas World at War, it betrayed war. You had Germans who surrendered and then just get shot and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that happened. It happened a lot. Even on the American side, we there are probably many instances where we've shot Germans who have surrendered. It's war isn't pretty, and that's what World at War portrayed. Is that war is disgusting and it's hard, scary, and just it's offensive, and that's what it's supposed to be. But World at War or World War II, it just portrays it as just like a war movie.
Hmm.
It's like at the Americans, they're winning and they can't do anything wrong, and all that kind of stuff. That's what I liked about World at War, or what I liked about the YouTuber talking about the comparisons between the two and stuff like that. And that was kind of my issue with World War II, is that although it did educate people on some things, it didn't portray what war was supposed to be, what it was like. Like the landing was spot on. You had people dying and stuff like that, and the blood, the gore. It was exactly what you would expect out of a Saving Private Ryan movie. But after that, though, it's just kind of ends there. And then you have the infamous train scene where you got like Michael Bay special effects going off in the
Yeah.
background as you witness it all.
Oh yeah. Driving the Kuba wagon right next to the Jeep, next to the train, then I don't know.
Yeah.
You throw the train off the track by hitting it.
Surviving the whole thing, by the way, without a
Yeah.
scratch.
It's a crazy spectacle, but highly unrealistic,
Oh yeah.
especially for the event, or for the events, I guess, of World War II.
I don't know. I also think that we should push for realism, but at the same time, we'll never have a truly realistic game because obviously there's limitations, as well as we don't have the. I don't feel like most modern or AAA games don't have the sound development teams correct for that. None of the games I've played, the AAA games, none of them sound truly realistic. No one ever really portrays war correctly anymore. On top of that, you really can't, because if you really think about it, if we were to portray World War II in the complete disgustingness that we had, if we were going through the Pacific Front, or even the German front, more Pacific Front, we'll just talk about that. When we were going into the Japanese front, they'd randomly appear, we'd shoot them. If they surrendered, which they never fucking did, but there was a rare case, we'd kill them on sight. No one ever really took them prisoner. There was one, maybe a couple companies who did. They had that, heart. But we kept going in. We killed everyone we could find. On top of that, when we reached the villages, they thought that we were there to save them, and we kind of just raped them and burned their villages down and kept moving.
Yeah.
It was gross, and even as Americans, we committed a lot of war crimes. We understand that other nations have committed war crimes, and we can't redeem ourselves for something we done. We just kind of forget it ever happened and move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what the Japanese are trying to do, and the Chinese blame them for the rape of Nanking all the time, and they just try to say it doesn't exist.
So yeah, in regards of making games realistic, I wouldn't necessarily push too much into realism, at least visually and stuff like that, because I feel like that might push away from the artistic styles of certain games and stuff like that. We would start seeing a lot of the same style trends and stuff like that. But definitely go for the realistic parts of portraying history and stuff like that. I know a lot of people would say, "Oh, it's just a game. They have no obligation to make it historically accurate." But I feel like that isn't actually true. There's a lot of people that have more access to video games nowadays than the past 10 or so years. Um, and I feel like it isn't required of them and it isn't asked of them, but it is. I feel like it would be just the cherry on top of the game if everything that they did was portrayed historically accurate. Because nobody asked that of Saving Private Ryan, but they delivered it perfectly.
Well, I mean,
Although
when
it
you make
wasn't
a
a true
movie
story.
supposed to be about something, it has to be about something.
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
but
I mean, Call of Duty World War II was at least about World War II. It may not have shown what World War II was fully like, but it you know, if they threw an M4 A1 and and an Abrams in there, we'd have a problem.
oh yeah.
But I get what you're saying. Here's the one thing that gets me. And I feel like I cut you off, but
No, no, surprise.
the uh, the end of the game with the whole Holocaust scene. There was no Holocaust scene, and I know people who are gonna watch this are gonna say, "Well, what do you mean there was no Holocaust scene?" There wasn't. All right, there was. What's his name? The Jewish soldier. I can't remember his name.
Zussman.
Zussman, that's it. He got taken. He got taken because I don't even know. They were looking for a Jew in their ranks of prisoners that they had. And in the end, they were just like, whatever. Everybody's going on the train. Congratulations. Then you find the camp. There's nothing there. All right, there's like 3 bodies that were hanged, and then maybe one that was shot, and a few in a pile. There was nothing.
And see,
There was no. You really you didn't get the feeling. And this sounds horrible the way I'm putting it, but you didn't get the feeling that you were walking through a death camp, a Nazi mass murder death camp that they had set up throughout the war for mass produced murder. You know, this wasn't the feeling. You walk through it, whatever, you walk into one of the barracks, you look around, the guy's taking pictures of it, and you're like, oh well, somebody's got to tell the story. Okay, but what are you taking you're taking a picture of the bunks? There's no one in. There was no dead people in there, and if there were, they were under the blankets. You're not getting that gruesome, horrific feeling that you would get. And I could say this purely because I have visited one of these camps. And I'll tell you, even though there's nothing there, before even walking through the gate, you get this straight feeling of disgust and you're blasted with emotion. You know, and you're not giving that in this kind of a game. And I'm not saying that this was supposed to teach the Holocaust whatsoever, but if you're going to implement it, you got to implement it correctly so that people are getting the right idea of what this was, what this horrific event of human history was.
Yeah. And
You know,
it's like I said about it. Sorry to cut you off there.
no, it's
The
fine.
game's inoffensive. They wouldn't. They tried to push that like narrative, but they didn't go all the way with it. It would have been such more impactful if, yeah, as gruesome as it would seem, if there were bodies, so many bodies, because there are pictures online you can go through for all these camps, hundreds of thousands of people killed in these camps, and they don't show barely any. For all we know, they could have just walked out and just left.
Yeah, they could have just yeah, let themselves out. That was
Like,
it.
it's all littered and burned, and it looks like a camp, but there's nothing to show that this was a death camp, that
No.
it was
It could
of
have been a
anything
regular
of importance.
POW camp for all we know.
Yeah, and it could have been of the Wehrmacht, or the Heer control, which they probably would have had better conditions, living conditions, than would have under the SS. You know, don't know, because there's nothing telling us, you know, how bad it was. Sure, you got a bunch of litter and trash everywhere, but that doesn't really tell you anything.
I don't know. It was too quick for when you walk right through one bunk. You walk in, they're like, hey, there's some tracks going that way. You go into the woods, and there's the same SS guy, or I guess he was SS. I'm not going to make the assumption because he didn't look like it. And he's shooting one guy, and then he's about to kill Zussman, and you put the round through him right at the moment that he's about to shoot. And it's just like, all right, there we go again with the American hero. He's, I don't know. I almost feel like it was almost kind of insulting to the topic almost. That's the way I'm looking at it. I don't know. Whatever. One and done.
Yeah, looking at a perfect example of it being done right would be Band of Brothers, right?
Right,
At the
yeah.
end when they get to the camp. It's perfect. It shows exactly what what happened there. And if Call of Duty had done that, it would have been I guess to some people it would have been, offensive and stuff like that, but that's how it was. You can't look away from the future and say, or not future, I mean past, and go, oh, this is offensive. We can't have these bodies here and stuff like that, and wish it away.
Yeah. You can't make the past disappear.
Yeah,
And,
and that's
and if
kind
you
of
try to
something.
erase history, you're just as bad as the people that were killing these people out in the fields.
Yeah,
That's the way I look at it. Even if it's bad history, like the recent stuff that went on down in the south where they're removing some of the statues of the generals, the southern generals.
hmm
I mean, personally, the way it was being done wasn't right. They were trying to like destroy these statues. If you're gonna take them down, put them in a museum where they belong. Don't destroy them because you're destroying history. And if you're trying to make yourself look like, there we go again with the phone. You're trying to make yourself look like the good guy. You're just as bad as the people that were getting shot or were shooting these innocent people out in fields in the middle of nowhere.
and then burying them or burning them along
Right,
with
in unmarked graves.
yeah. So and it is a pretty good little I guess what would it be like an analogy to use in that situation, because it's a terrible problem that we have nowadays. People are trying to they think they're doing the right thing and stuff like that, but they're they're really breaking history and stuff like that by trying to like get rid of it completely
Yeah.
because it was bad, because it was evil, and it represented something. And even then, not all of that is the case. A lot of people will associate the Nazis being all evil, but those who fought in the war weren't even Nazis. Some of them were just normal people who just got conscripted or joined the army because they wanted to defend their country.
History's violent. Easy done. I don't want to
Mhm.
quote, of course, Fury, but history's violent. I don't care how much shit you gotta sugarcoat it with. I mean, it's it. I'm in these history classes. I have people who always sound very disgusted. They're always like, "Ugh, I can't believe that happened." Believe it. Don't sound disgusted because if you can't believe it happened, believe it happened. There's nothing you could do to change it as much as you wanna. So suck it up because a lot worse is gonna happen before your time is up. Let me tell you. Sorry to say it. You're gonna be seeing it. It's gonna be on the news every day. I mean, come on. There was the sarin gas in Syria. Then there was Syria in general.
A lot worse is gonna happen. We're in that time right now.
And
It's just adding to the history books.
we also have area, or my mic cut out a little bit there, as we have in that area, as Bear famously once racially prejudicedly quoted, and I'm going to give a warning here, this is not... Okay, this is going to be slightly racist, but we don't mean it in any actual racist regards. Ching Chong-un.
Oh, no.
Ching Jong Un.
We're gonna get killed. We're all gonna get nuked now. Great.
Oh, that was
Great.
the
That's
best
what I
thing in the
needed.
world.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Alright, well, on that note, we'll leave it to the end of the podcast here. Well, it was great talking. It was great to have everyone here.
Yeah, it was fun. Fun to talk. Discuss some games. And then drift off.
Drifting off, that's the best part. We drifted from God of War.
The
Actually,
apocalyptic hell of war.
we do have one more topic. One topic that I actually really, really wanted to talk about. Identity RPG. What do you guys think of
boy.
this game?
I'm hyped for it, to be honest.
I think it's cool. I haven't really seen much about it, but from what I've been hearing about it, it sounds like it's gonna be great. Unless they screw it up. But that's a big if.
If
Um,
if.
Yeah, if. I'm excited for it. I'm pretty enthusiastic about the game. It's one of those games that I'm actually really excited to see and really want to play because it's not a game that's made by one of the big corporation stuff. So you ain't gonna see any loot boxes out of it. So that's really nice, and it seems like it's one of those games that they're really looking forward to the player to build the world, and that's really great. Players are great at building worlds. Developers
Both bad
giving
and good.
play, huh?
Both bad and good.
Yeah, bad and good. We'll say it's a mixed bag, but most of the time it's a very beautiful kind of thing because it's kind of like modders. A lot of the time you get some bad mods and you get some really good mods, some stupid stuff and all that stuff like that. But I think it'll be a really fun and interesting game for players to interact with each other and create things and whatnot. Because I think you can like make your own paintings and then sell them on the in-game's eBay. So you could have like people who are really good at drawing and stuff like that, or painting, and you know you can purchase these paintings and stuff like that, and in that way that makes that person in the game quite famous and stuff like that.
That's
you know
cool.
and that's just the painting part. That could be expanded on like cars, who knows, even guns maybe. Then you have all the other things as well, like you can have notorious gangsters and stuff like that, and notorious sheriffs who go after these gangsters. There's a lot you can do with that, with that game, and I guess that kind of goes into it, the potential as well. The potential is there's a lot of it. Like many games, there's a lot of potential. I hope that they can, that the development team has the execution and has the will to go through that stuff, and they have plans. Always got to have plans.
I'm pretty hyped for it as well. The Town Square module, the first beta of the game, will be coming out on April 23rd. I suggest you guys go over to their website, give it a check. It's 3 weeks from now. The game looks amazing. The game look like graphically. The playstyle of the game seems we haven't seen yet, but it looks to be amazing. The way they're building this game up from scratch and the way they're doing it, the focus of the game itself, it just seems all surreal, and I'm really happy for the game's existence. But I will be
It's been
streaming
a long
this,
time coming.
and I'm gonna have hopefully a series of this game as soon as it comes out. I'm gonna do everything I can to push this game forward because it's one of those games from an indie company that you've never really seen before, and it looks beyond amazing. These are the same people who have made Arma 3 Altus Life servers, and I feel like if anyone knows anything more about roleplay, it's one of these guys, because Altus roleplay has been around for God knows how long. They have probably some of the more how would you say, experienced staff on top of experienced developers and experienced designers, as shown by the game. Plus, they've reached $1 million as well in funding. They got a lot of build up to it. They have a lot of development. It just looks to be coming together pretty well in overall standards of any
Yeah.
game.
But they also have a lot of expectation with that $1 million. They better put that to actual use. Because I haven't really kickstarted anything, but I have jumped on the good old early access bandwagon, and the early access thing has been tested and has been, it's been crapped on a lot. Um, as a small little thing to talk about, I'm a big supporter of indie games, and I'm a big supporter of early access kind of stuff. And I really want this game to show the people that early access games can be good in the right hand. And I hope that Identity kind of proves that thing, that if they're doing an alpha or beta or whatever, testing for players who pay, that it'll show the potential and the overall the expectations that we're looking for.
Well, that'll conclude this stream and podcast overall. When do you guys think we'll do the next one? 2 weeks from now, or 3 weeks?
That
Guess
is
we'll just
up
have to find out.
That's up to you. I'm gonna let you decide that. I'm down. For
Yeah, we'll
whenever.
cross that bridge when we figure out when we're all available again at these times.
All right. Well, it was great having you guys.
That was great
Mhm.
talking. I can't wait to do it again. This was a lot of fun.
All right.
All right,
Goodbye.
peace out. Take it easy. Long live and prosper.
Yeah.